Welcome, everyone. My name is JD Concepcion. I'm one of the Stealth Regional Managers, and I am going to walk you through our online configurator. So first things first, you can see the email address up here, config.stealthproducts.com. You will have your own unique login and password that's specific to you as an ATP or RTS, someone who's speccing the seating system, and that will be set up administratively. And I believe we're going to have another video for that. So in any case, let me get into this and kind of show you the system and what you're going to see moving forward. So I'm going to log in. There's a couple things I have view-wise that are unique to me. I'm involved in a bunch of different areas. So in general, for any of the ATPs, you're going to see how many open quotes you have month to date. And then as those sales are converted, you'll be able to see that. And you can kind of vary this view. But this is the general dashboard when you open up the configurator. So if we're going to go to a system, I'm going to show you a couple things here. These are just some of the customers I have under me to help review. I'm able to also go into the sales and see what's been converted. And in this case, again, there's a ton of folks under me. In general, you won't see this stuff. It'll be whatever's under your particular account assigned to you. So let's get into the quote. I'm going to go into new quote here and under me. So this is just, again, very, very specific to my personal account. Before I get into that, let's show you a couple things that are unique. So into this open quote area, you'll notice this quote number, QW, and the 3 zeros and 892. That's clearly different from previous stealth quote numbers, which start with SQ and then whatever the 6 digits are. This tells us internally that it's coming from the configurator, so that's unique and that's good. We're able to match that up. The other is please verify your shipping information. You can add a marked for here in this area, just type that in. And then any personal notes that you have that you need to relay is very, very helpful. So anything that pop up, and there's frequently some custom item or something that you had a question about, or hardware, some type of thing that you can put in here that we need to be aware of when we start to manufacture that. Over here on this side with the files, if you have any pictures, drawings, something asymmetrical on the client that we should be aware of as we're trying to build the system, you can add those here because that will follow through for us in the manufacturing process, and we can kind of use those as a reference. So drawings, measurements, anything like that, pictures is very helpful, and we encourage you to attach them for assistance. Now, let's get back to the spec here. So I'm going to click add an item, and you'll see here custom seating is the only thing that pops up, and I'll tell you at some point, perhaps in the future, we will add a few more seating components or iDrives or driver controls or a variety of different things. But right now, simply the only option is custom seating. So we are going to click on that, and that custom seating information is going to populate very quickly. So it says, hello, that's where you are. Great. So it's asking me product selection. What would you like to do? So there's a couple things I can do. Go into product selection here or down at the bottom and just follow the arrows. Either way works. The first thing we're going to do is decide what type of products. And you'll notice there's up here seat solution, so custom cushion, pelvic belt solution, pelvic positioning, your hip guides, what type of back, anterior support, or those positioning components, laterals. So all of these things are available here, but it doesn't mean you have to cycle through them. So this is very unique in that if you just need a cushion, great. Then you can just click cushion here. In this case, automatically pelvic belt clicks, but we can simply do a cushion if that's what you like. But you can also add any of the other products. And the idea behind that is I don't want you cycling through elbow positioning components if you're just looking at a cushion. So this eliminates some of the options provided. So hopefully it streamlines it, makes it easier for you to cycle through your selections. And you'll notice down here, the bars at the bottom, there's 2 green, 3 gray. As we add these options, those are more components that need to be filled out and completed before we're able to make sure that this quote is completed. So I'm going to opt for, in this case, I'm going to say a seat cushion. I will say a pelvic belt just to have that, although again, in some areas that's not available or it's not fundable, that's fine. You just unclick that. I'm going to say back solution, contour is fine. Automatically it populates this anterior thoracic solution, so a chest harness or shoulder harness, I'm sorry. If we don't need that, we just unclick it, and you notice that took away some of the options. And we'll just put a head solution because these are probably some relatively common options. Again, you can add any of those things that will all populate. One thing I want you to be aware of is here at the bottom, allow roll-up pricing. That's very important. Of course, our codes, the E2617 and E2609 for the cushion and back are Medicare funding codes. Medicare considers those to be rolled up all in one cost. However, some funding sources want a breakdown of that, meaning that they want to know what type of foam, what type of modifications you choose different that are custom and increase the price. So if you unclick that, it will break all that information out. So just be aware of that, and that will be important when we get to the end of this quote. So in this case, I'm just going to leave that clicked on here, and I want to roll that pricing up. So let's move to the next section, which is our seat solution. So the first thing we're going to start with is the custom seat. You'll notice here that the way that we design this functionally is kind of a drop-down menu, so we try to make it very easy. And again, our most common and standard sizes. So you can see here from 10 by 10 up to 24 by 24. Anything outside of that we'll need to call in to get that quote done. But those are even sizes. You can easily drag down here, for instance, and now I've selected 18 by 18. If you had an odd size, let's say I wanted an, I'm gonna say 19 wide and by 17 deep. Great, that's done. Not a problem, but it's easy to select that and make that change on not even size options for the seating cushion. So moving on, foundation and the cover. So let's start here with the foundation. In general, we start with this 5/8 inch of crosslink. If you think about old school plywood based seating, you started with a kind of a 1/2 inch of marine grade plywood. That's what this is. Any type of cushion that's going to have some significant contouring, adductor, abductor, abductor, anti-thrust, those types of things, we have to have a base to build that off of. So that's where the crosslink starts. If you were going to have really a completely kind of flat cushion, you could start with some standard OC3 high resiliency foam, what you see in general medical products and in some of our backs. You can start with that and kind of go from there. But in this case, I'm going to keep, I'm going to keep that 5/8 inch, and then we're going to build up from there. Then contact material. So you have all these standard options. Cool core you can get, which is the stretchy fabric. And if you need some temperature moderation, opt for the cool core. There's the air mesh, which definitely is a nice material for longevity, and then probably the most opted for material this is the Stealth Tech, which is your wipe off contact surface. So I'm going to opt for Stealth Tech because that seems to be the most opted for. And then here we get into our layering. So you'll note that it starts with a base layer, very similar to the order form, a middle layer, and then your contact layer. So I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. You can do as many layers as you like, or as little layers as you like. If it was 1 inch of foam on top of that crosslink, you can do that, no problem. So in this case, you can do 1/2 inch or inch increments. Those match up with our FRG foams. So what I'm going to do is start with a base layer of FRG soft, which you can see that populates there. And here's where it gets interesting in that the middle layer, it could be 1 layer, or it could be 4 layers, or no layers. In this case, I'm going to opt for none. And then I'm going to say 1 inch of extra soft on top. So just for reference, we have the 5/8 inch of crosslink, and then we have 2 inches of foam on top of that. So we're at 2 5/8 now as far as height on the cushion, and we build up from there. That's just important to know as you're thinking about seat to floor heights, and making sure that clients can transfer and that we're not too high with those. So the next option is contoured options, or really anti-thrust kind of planar options. So in this case, I've seen it go both ways depending upon what the situation is, but I'm just going to opt for this full contour. But I want to scroll through here so that you can see it could be any of these options that you're looking for. We would just need to provide some direction for our manufacturing, and I'll tell you what, I will unclick this and we'll cycle through the planar options where it's strictly flat, if that's what you like, or perhaps just anti-thrust only, and then we provide the other information that we need on that particular contouring. So I'm going to click this and move this back to contouring, and I am going to select full contour, and you'll note you have your measurements currently with the 2 pieces of foam and a 5/8 inch. That's your back of the cushion height, and now we need to fill in some of the other information, and you see the measurements here. So the first is our anti-thrust height. And you have a couple of options here from 1/2 inch up to 2.5. I don't know that we've seen more than that, but I'm going to opt for 1 inch, which is relatively standard. The anti-thrust depth, which is going to be where that starts from the front of the cushion. So I'm just going to say, I'm thinking about the depth. I'm just going to say 7 inches back. The adductor height from the surface, so that is going to be how much we raise that in the contour of the cushion, and I'm going to say we're going to do that 1 inch. Then I need to calculate. So by the way, it's already calculating. You're seeing 3.625. Our abductor depth. And that I'm just going to say 4 inches. It's great. And then our height from the surface, meaning how high do we want that to come up? We have a few options here. I would like to note that because of the foam is so resilient, the 1/2 inch abductor option does not really show much. There's not much there. It's kind of absorbed in the foam. So we opted for 1 inch to actually have some type of contouring. So just be aware of that. So you'll note at some point there was a red box here, and I'll show that here again in just a second. But I've filled out all this information. It all looks good. It's calculating 4.6 inches total height, and that's to the contouring, not the troughs. Just be aware of that. But that's your total height of the overall height of the cushion. But it looks like everything's good. You can see we're all green here. If it's red, we're missing something and we need to provide that information. And here below this is where we start to get into some other options. If you had a leg length discrepancy, we're able to do those modifications here, even if it's just ½ inch, up to a couple inches. That's not a problem. We're able to do an eye style modification if we had cross braces. We're able to do growth notches up to 3 inches, so not a problem. Hamstring relief, there's a couple options here, 1 or 2 inch. That way, if you had, for instance, contractures or a foot propeller that you needed to back that off, that's available. Over here under ischial relief is where we'll find our pressure management. As far as gel, we have a couple different versions. Our viscous gel, very fluid, movable, and then our ultra lightweight gel, which really cuts the weight down and does a good job of pressure management for folks that aren't moving around too much. So either of those, I think in most cases I've seen people opt for the ultra lightweight gel, so I'm going to leave that selected. Then we get into our poly aligner, and that is a 4-way stretch cover that will also protect the foam and the cushion cover. And if you, in this case, we selected Stealth Tech, you could pull that Stealth Tech off, wash that, and the client could sit on this as kind of a backup cover, but it'll still protect everything. So just know that that's available. All right, so it looks like we're all good. Again, I can go click on here or the seat solution, which puts us in the next option. It doesn't matter either way, but just want you to see that. So the next is this cushion that we just spec'd out. Where is it going? So we can add a seat pan that you see here. In many cases, I'm seeing that the chair you're putting it on already has a seat pan. So you don't want that, and that's fine. But if you did want it, we would need to know what the diameter of the seat rails are, and then what type of hardware you'd opt for with that. So relatively easy. Couple other things to be aware of. I'm just going to click no mounting. That seems to be the most selected, but that aluminum seat pan is available. We could do a rigidizer if that's something you wanted. You're putting in seat upholstery. This happens to be a contoured rigidizer, so note that that's available. And then we do have a flat version here, which would assist. There's an option to attach the seat and back together with this particular bracket. So if you did want that, you're able to get it. And then the positioning wedge kit is another option. So again, we've not opted for that. I've selected no mounting. So we're going to put it on an existing seat pan. And it looks like if you're looking at all this, we're good to go. I'm going to cycle on to the next item, which is a pelvic belt. So perfect. We did want a pelvic belt. Let's say, and you can see we've put our most common options on here, 2-point, full point. I'm going to say we want just going to say single point, large, great, that's done. We could also get this stealth positioning cane clamp. That way, perhaps it makes it easier if you don't have a bunch of area to mount that on. Great, that's selected. If you had a case where you needed to protect the buckle cover so that someone didn't have access to it, that is an option. But just know that, again, relatively easy, nice to select, and moving forward. So all green. Next is the back solution. So we had picked a true forming back contour. In the beginning, there were other options. We could have gone the flex or planar style, but we picked the contour. So again, question is how wide, how deep? So I'm going to say 19 wide. In case of the back, how high? 20 high. And then what type of contouring? So I'm going to click here. So your options are active, deep, and extra deep. Note that all of these start out active, which is why you see the space kind of there. So active, about 2.5 inches of contour. And then in this case, we're adding wings to it that are providing a little bit more of a contour. So I am tending to see more of the extra deep contour, which is about 6 inches of contour with some adjustments. So I'm going to opt for that. And I'm also going to pick the StealthTech wipe off material because that seems to be the most common and in some of the facilities easy to maintain. So just like the cushion layer, we're going to decide on what type of layer for the backs. I would say generally we're seeing about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. In some cases I've seen thicker because there's been some carve out by the provider. But let's say I wanted, I'm just gonna say 1.5 inches. So let's do 1 inch of soft FRG as our base layer. I'm going to do no middle layer, but just like the cushion, you'll note we can do as much as we want. And then I'm going to do 1/2 inch of extra soft as our contact layer. So great. This looks like this particular back is spec'd out. Note a couple of the options. You can get a foam in place for these widths. And you can get a lumbar support that you're able to kind of maneuver around to get perfect contact for the client. Lastly, something that we've done on the ADI line for quite some time, the privacy flap, if that's something you want to attach, it will zip to the back and you can simply Velcro it to the seat pan, but that's nice. It kind of, one, provides a privacy layer, two, keeps maybe the cushion and other materials from falling back into the power manual chair. So that's an option. And then embroidery seems to be relatively common. We will do that in either block or script. You tell us which. Again, relatively easy to see the difference between those two. And then it's what color. So let's say we wanted it in green because it matches the chair, and I wanted to say Susan. Fantastic. That's where we add that information. You can also get an extra set of contour wings. So we did the extra deep. So it comes with 2. You could get also 2 more. So functionally, you could have some support up under the axilla, up under the arm, or close down to the pelvis or the PSIS, just with a couple extra sets. So just know that's available. It doesn't come standard, but it is an option and allows for you to select for that. So back to the quote, it looks like we've got everything here. It's all green. I'm going to move on to the next option, which is how are we going to mount this? Is it going on a manual where we need to provide the cane diameter, or are we going to go to a power chair? So we can do one of a couple things here. I'm going to assume in this case it's a power. So we can do either use our power adjustable mounting system, which is an aftermarket adapter plate that makes it quick release, easy to adjust, and you have some added adjustment to the back and where it sits on the client. Or if you wanted to have us do a direct to spine mount, we're able to do that on any 3 of these power systems, Promobile, Quantum, and Sunrise, and that just makes it a little bit tighter, and you save a little bit of seat depth. So either way, it's easy to do. So looks like we're good. I'm going to move on to the head solutions. And again, we can roll up the head solutions all into one cost. In this case, I'm going to break it out between the headrest pad and the hardware because those are two different codes. But our most common headrest is the Comfort Plus. So I'm just going to say 14-inch, which is fine. And then again, it's going to ask me what type of hardware. I'm going to select the link style. You see there are some basic options here. Down below the old style TWB, the world's best hardware, but we're seeing more people opt for the Unilink. One, it's much more adjustable. There's some unique things about it, but I will just go ahead and keep it at this 12-inch vertical stem here versus the 7-inch. So we're able to have some adjustment there. There is a headrest option for a tone deflector, which you can add to it, and we've added that in here. But otherwise, again, a relatively standard spec. So this looks good. I'm able to go to the next step, which is review. So you can see we have a couple of different codes here, back, headrest, hardware, cushion, all those things. And then we have a K108, which I believe is our clamp system. So again, relatively standard. This all seems good, and it's kind of broken all that information out. So I'm going to save this information here, and you'll notice here's my custom quote. So a couple things unique about this. Let's say that you are out at a facility or doing your specs and you need to email this to your internal team. Great, that's easy enough to do. You can email it to them and send that particular quote any way you want. So you can see MSRP, primary discount only, or the order form that's available. I'm just going to show you a quick, easy way to print that out and save it to your system. So I'm going to click print here, and it's going to ask me, okay, great, what would you like? I'm going to show you two different varieties. I'm going to say primary discount only. In this case, I'm going to go down here to create. I'm going to click create. And then what's going to happen is the system is going to populate your selections and go to this click icon. I'm going to click on that and open it up, and boom, here we go. So I'm able to download this to my system. This quote is live in our system, so it's good to go until you're purchasing or whoever is able to go ahead and release PO and get that stuff ordered. So you'll note all those things are here. Very nice and easy to deal with. So I want to show you one other item, and that is in the event you need to show an order form, that's where this comes out. So the order form is going to show really some unique bits of information. I know it's important in some cases when you select something that costs a little bit more, it's a little bit more expensive, or why did we go with these types of foam or the multiple layers. You can kind of break all that out, which is nice. So in this case, this is showing what all the items you spec'd out. And I'll point a couple things of interest. For instance, I'll just go down here to the back. So you see we selected an extra deep back versus what the standard active is. That's $0. This is $280 MSRP. So it's important to note that it's highlighting those outside of what the normal cost is. So everything we selected to put on this spec sheet, and only those items, it won't show anything else, will populate here, and you're able to share that with your funding source. With that, I think I've covered it all. You're able to, again, save this in the system, and then at some point your purchasing will be able to go and push that quote number and be able to order it. So I wanted to thank you for your time. Hopefully I've covered all the potential items you may see, but feel free to reach out to us at Stealth if you have any questions. and we look forward to assisting you with your custom seating. So thank you much and have a great day.